Dear ELMI members, we hope that you have had a good stay in Turku so far and hope that you will enjoy the rest of the meeting. We would like to welcome you also to the headquarters of Euro-BioImaging. So you have heard a lot about Euro-BioImaging over the years, but I think the sign that you saw in the beginning, it's a clear indication that Euro-BioImaging has become reality. You are in Turku, and the seat of Euro-BioImaging is here in Turku, the administrative headquarters. This is a tripartite organization divided on Heidelberg and Torino. Heidelberg for biological imaging and Torino for medical imaging. You will also hear from Antje Keppler, who is the head of the biological hub in Heidelberg. I will give you a small tour of the Euro-BioImaging situation from a European perspective and from a strategic perspective. I apologize for not being in Turku, but of course, as things go, I was invited to give a lecture in 2020, and that was cancelled because of rather obvious reasons. And now, of course, the rescheduling of the meeting happened to coincide exactly with ELMI. Anyway, so I will be in Vermont in the United States, and I hope you have a nice meeting when this recording is being played to you. Regarding Euro-BioImaging, it's one of the life science infrastructure organizations, the ERICS. I think many of you have heard about the ERICS. So it's a special form of organization which is intended for the specific purpose of having European infrastructures serving different purposes that are important for life sciences and also other sciences. You can see the argumentation here why we need this kind of infrastructures, and we are among a number of life science infrastructures, as you can see. And I think many of these abbreviations are familiar to you. Imaging among the infrastructures in life sciences, imaging is in high demand. So here's a survey, which is from Finland, but the numbers would look quite similar regardless where you would go in Europe. So you can see that the Finnish scientists have almost 100% have said that they really need imaging for their research and for their publications. To meet this need and demand, we have Euro-BioImaging. And Euro-BioImaging is reality, and Euro-BioImaging partly is you, because you are experts of imaging. And many in the audience are somehow connected to nodes, that is, service providers of Euro-BioImaging, and or you may be former users of Euro-BioImaging nodes. The argumentation initially and the pitch for Euro-BioImaging has been that you have national imaging centers around Europe, like on the picture here, and then you put a little bit additional European funding, and what you get is this kind of platform with imaging excellence, the best we can provide to anybody in the world in terms of imaging. And of course, all these nodes are connected, and there's a lot of know-how behind this. So if we think about the European map, you see here the members of Euro-BioImaging, and you can see that there are 33 nodes. Actually, under these nodes, you have many centers. So altogether, 148 sites covering 50 plus technologies. 17 members, including EMBL. We hope that Spain and Germany, Slovakia, other countries will join. That is what you have. That is Euro-BioImaging in a nutshell. What we cover is everything you can imagine in terms of imaging. So you have everything from small things to big things, tissues, animals, animal models, patients, and so forth. So this is the idea. The idea is also that you have benefits both for researchers and users, and benefits for nodes as well. So you get the service, you get the technology, you get the best practice, you get data analysis, you get training, and you get also training in terms and data management, also from the point of view of the service providers, the nodes. So all of this is under one umbrella. And of course, the idea is to get networking, to get the power we need towards the funding agencies, towards the European Commission, towards instrument providers, and so forth. Importantly, right now, we can report that we have quite a lot of news when it comes to funding opportunities. When you go to the web pages, the Eurobombing web pages are easy to find. You Google with the name, you will not miss that. There's a certain section which is related to funding of user projects. And what we can see now from last year, we had quite a few proposals to Horizon Europe, which I think is familiar to most of you. And we have all of these projects that relate to user access. One is already started, the one on infectious diseases is called Isidore. Then we have one on cancer and one on agroecology to be started in the fall. All three of those cover quite a lot of user access funding. Then we have one project on artificial intelligence and one on remote access. We will provide you with much more information on this, so please follow our pages and check them out. Just as a summary in terms of TNA funding, this is what we have. We have more than close to 1.5 million with a high burn rate to be used in the next few years. And pay attention to the information that is being given on this, and please use this funding because it's for you to be used and it's for you to make an impact on the European landscape. We already had a number of these transnational access funding exercises. Here is mentioned one from Italy. That's a specific one intended for Italian users going to European or to Euro-BioImaging sites elsewhere, or Euro-BioImaging users coming into Italy to Italian nodes. This has been popular and the funding is already consumed. We had, just to celebrate exit from COVID, we released a small funding stipend call in the fall, and we had many proposals for this. These were excellent. And what we have at the end, we have 10 projects initially being funded. We're considering measures how to fund those that are left out of funding when it comes to this call. But it just shows that there's a lot of need, there's a lot of interest, and our aim is really to pay attention to this, to provide you with much more information, to provide you with much more resources in this respect. And here we really have around the corner and at the corner these projects that I already mentioned. A new opportunity is the Horizon Infratech calls that came early this spring, and we are participating in 4 of these, and we hope that they will come through. And that's an interesting funding scheme because it's combining infrastructures with the expertise from universities. And we hope that, and it seems that these calls will be repeated, they will be coming again next year. And I think this is an interesting avenue to be employed. There's a big program also on Digital Europe, Federated European Infrastructure for Cancer Images Data. We're participating in that. That's another interesting proposal and call, and let's see how it goes. If we're lucky, we can report on success there as well. For you to follow in the future, the Cancer Mission is a really big program. It's 1.1 billion euros. And we hope that we can be very active there. We hope that you can help us there. So please be active in terms of reporting to us if there is anything you see that could be taking place. Here's listed our contribution to the European research area in terms of excellence, in terms of international engagement, societal and economic impact, and integration. Basically, these are no-brainer things, items, but I think you can help us making an impact in terms of all these aspects, both excellence and also integration into society. So take Euro-BioImaging as a home base for your future adventures, for your future needs in terms of imaging, and make sure that you follow our web pages, our news, but also make sure that you make a difference using our services so that we can make a difference in terms of changing the European landscape. Here's the hub team. We assembled for a very nice meeting in the mountains above Heidelberg. And as you can see, the team is already quite big. These members are all here for you to use and to employ to help you in terms of imaging. And in the next few minutes, Antje Keppler will tell you more about specific ideas, specific initiatives that may be of high interest when it comes to biological imaging. So that's all from me. Have a good time the rest of the meeting. Enjoy the rest of the stay. Have a nice summer. Make great images. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so hello everyone from my side. It's simply a pleasure being here. Thank you very much to the organizers as well for this opportunity, and it's fantastic seeing you all again in person after the past 2 years. John just introduced Eurobombing Eric to you, especially from the European perspective as an organization. And as he said, in the next 10 minutes, I would like to give you some concrete examples of our work. And even more importantly, I also want to introduce even more the team behind the scenes that is making this all happening. Yes, so here we go. And I start with that one right away. So on this slide, you see the team of 20 amazing people that are currently making the Euro-BioImaging ERIC hub. We are one team working across 3 sites. The statutory seat is here in Turku. The bio hub is located in Heidelberg, hosted by the EMBL, and the medical hub is located in Torino, hosted by the University of Torino there. And I think what combines all these people, what we have in common, is our passion to democratize access to cutting-edge imaging services. And many of us have a background in imaging, but we have very different skills across the team. So we have scientific project managers, we have software developers, but we also have professional communication officers. And I would really like to invite you, whenever you have a problem or a question or you need access to any kind of services that is linked to community building, to imaging, to image data, to fair data, do not hesitate a minute, just contact us and we will show you the way and hopefully will help you directly. The most important group in Euro-BioImaging, of course, are the users. And I want to bring to you today 2 stories. The first one is from Andrew Boyce. So Andrew is from the University of Calgary in Canada, and he recently visited through Euro-BioImaging the Bordeaux Imaging Center, which is part of the France Bioimaging and which is part of Euro-BioImaging. And his quote says, "Sushi is a very exciting technique for studying brain tissue, but sample preparation and adapting this technique to your research question can be tricky. Coming to the Bordeaux Imaging Center to work with the person who developed this approach and to get expert training is a dream come true and will make a big difference to my research." The second story comes from Chiara Cassioli. She's from the University of Siena in Italy, and she went to the EMBL ALMF facility to study her goal of identifying trafficking pathways responsible for biogenesis and release of supramolecular attack particles. And her quote reads, "I feel extremely lucky to have been able to spend 3 weeks at EMBL's ALMF as a Eurobombing user. Every day I discuss with Faber, I'm very sorry to not see Faber here in the audience today, to find the best solutions to overcome technical issues and move forward." And these are just 2 examples of many of our hundreds of users that are now coming to the Eurobombing nodes. And that brings me to my next slide. The beating heart, and actually we have 33 beating hearts in Eurobombing are our nodes. They together comprise about 150 individual imaging facilities, which offer access to more than 50 different technologies. So they are the ones that are providing the actual user services, the user access. They provide support with the data analysis. They offer training courses to the users, but also to their own students. They network with each other, exchange of experience and best practice. And here with us at the ALMI, there's Johanna Bischoff. She's the one who's really managing and engaging with the bio nodes at the BioHub and supporting the users to find the best services that they need. So if you have questions regarding the access to biological imaging services, please feel free to reach out to Johanna. The community of the Eurobombing nodes is growing. So just last year, we saw a 50% increase in the number of facilities. So we have 78 new facilities that are now part of Euro-BioImaging and that are offering also a broader portfolio now of technologies and expertise, such as cryo-EM, volume-EM, functional and light sheet imaging, quantitative phase imaging, mass spec imaging, as well as underwater microscopy, plant imaging, and biomolecular detection. The 33 nodes comprise 16 nodes in the domain of biological imaging, 12 in the domain of biomedical imaging, and we are quite proud also to have 5 nodes that go the full scope from biological to biomedical imaging. And to give you also here from the nodes some personal impressions, I have brought you some pictures from each of our member countries that are hosting nodes. So on this slide, you see Austria, Bulgaria, Czechia, Denmark, EMBL, Finland, France, and Hungary. On the next slide, you have Israel, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Poland, and Portugal. And our conservative estimate is that far more than 600 individual persons are working at the Euro-BioImaging nodes across Europe. What I also forgot at the previous slide is that another conservative estimate is that we can provide to Euro-BioImaging users the access to instruments in the worth of about 400 million. My personal estimate is probably the double or more. So I think these days you can compare imaging infrastructures with the large physical infrastructures such as CERN out there when it comes to the value that we are creating, but also the investment. In the second half of my presentation, I would like to point out to you opportunities that are available for everyone. So for example, our Euro-BioImaging expert groups are mainly the meet and greeting points for our node staff, but they are open to everyone. So we always say for nodes and friends. We have the technology expert groups in light microscopy and electron microscopy that have recently reorganized and updated the Euro-BioImaging tech portfolio. But we also have additional expert groups such as on communications, where the people exchange with each other how to best increase your visibility by using Twitter, by using LinkedIn, or to write an annual report. We have the remote access working group. There, the work has led to an EU-funded project called Remote. And as John said, please follow us. We will hear more about this project during the next 2 years. And we have the image data working group, where the experts come together to get to know each other, but also to share experience and on existing data service models and how to manage user interactions. That brings me to the next slide. So the image data services in Euro-BioImaging take place at 2 different levels. Most importantly at the nodes, of course. And this summer we are adding a new service to our portfolio, which is that users can come with their existing data sets to the Eurobombing nodes and ask for help when it comes to image data analysis questions. And the nodes that are offering these services are listed here on the slide. So that's the nodes in Italy, Sweden, Denmark, France, the Netherlands, and Czech Republic. At the level of the Eurobombing ERIC Hub, we are engaging a lot with the existing initiatives, such as OME, IDR, Quarep Limi, European Open Science Cloud, and we are also supporting the Fair Image Data Management, and I hope that very soon I can announce to you that we have a Fair Image Data Steward in the team. We are now in the process of hiring, who will then support the incoming users to make their image data fair. We are also contributing as part of the EOSC Future project to the next generation file formats development for high throughput microscopy data. We are linking nodes and users to the Bioimage archive and IDR, raising awareness for these archives. And we are representing the interests of the community at large at the political level as well as at the scientific level in many of the projects that are listed here. From this slide, the take-home is, as John also said, there's funding available for you and your users. So if you know anyone who's working on COVID-19 related research or SARS-CoV-2 research, and in the future also on other pathogens, please reach out to us. There's an EC-funded project called EasyDoor, which started with this first open call for users to apply for access funding this Monday. And we have funding available to fund your visit to one of the Eurobombing nodes or for your users, or if you have any peers who would like to access imaging services, but also all other services that EasyDoor is providing. Many of you have come across the virtual pub. This takes place every Friday, 1 o'clock. It's open for everyone. And again, we have an exciting lineup of topics and speakers already until end of this year. Please follow this. Many people have joined regularly, and it's quite an exciting opportunity, I think, to meet and greet and learn more about new developments. The Eurobombing Industry Board has been up and running since 2014. Claudia Vander, my colleague here, is the coordinator of the Industry Board. Just this morning, they had their recent meeting. Maybe they are still in the meeting room. And they want to restart mutual exchange with in-person workshops starting this October, develop collaborations between companies and nodes on tech development, beta testing, instrument demonstrations. Industry as user, of course, is also welcome to access the Eurobombing nodes. And Claudia and the Industry Board are continuously working on broadening the membership. So just last year, we had 4 new members joining. Last but not least, Global Bioimaging. This is an international network by people for people. It's not a global imaging infrastructure. It's really an exchange of experience, get together. And currently we have 11 partners from all around the world, as you can see here on this map. And I would like to highlight Yara and Gleb here. So Yara is our new external relations officer for Global Bioimaging. Gleb is the coordinator for our training program. Both of them are also here at the ELMI, and if you have any questions or suggestions for Global Bioimaging, please reach out. One thing I would like to highlight is this year's Global Bioimaging Exchange of Experience Conference, the 7th of its kind, will take place in person but in hybrid mode in Montevideo in Uruguay. And if you have time to submit an application until next Sunday, we have 7 travel grants available to fund the travel and participation to this event. And with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for supporting Eurobombing for so many years. And if you have questions, please visit us at the Eurobombing booth, and see you tonight at the party. Thank you very much.